This daf Yerushalmi Yoma, the article is very different around daf Chavav Amud Aleph. Right after Mishnah, there's a header, Tarf B'Kalfi, and the Vilna, there is no header. Daf Chavav Amud Aleph, right after Mishnah, Lo Sof Davar Kalfi. So, Mara said that we take the Garolos, the lots from a Kalfi, which is a lottery box. So, Gemara says, it doesn't have to be a Kalfi lottery box, it may be bags, sacks. Lomu Kalfi, why do they say the Kalfi? Because it's Pumbi, but make a spectacle out of it. It's an elaborate ceremony. So says Gemara, okay, take a Kalfi, but you have just bring two strings, Echad Shachar B'Echad Lavan, one black and one white. You try them and tie it on, draw them out of the box, and you tie it on the animals. You try them and say, Yomer Zel Hashem, say this is for Hashem, Zel Zaza, this is for Zaza. So the Gemara says, Tamala Gorol Chad LaHashem. Gorol means something substantial, a lot, not just a string. Gorol Chad Hashem, Shenikah LaHashem, to be seen that this is for Hashem. Gorol Chad LaZaza, Shenikah Zaza, which he recognizes as Zaza. Says Gemara, okay, you have a state source, that's because bring two rocks. They're big, right? Not strings. Bring two rocks. Echad Shachar B'Echad Lavan, one black and one white. If you know, put on to them, Yomer Zel Hashem, Zel Zaza. Right there, and everybody will see big rocks. Tamagral Chad LaHashem, Shunikar LaLushul Hashem. So it says that it has to be somehow recognizable that this is for Hashem, right? Gral Chad LaZazel, Shunikar LaZazel. Okay, so this has to be somehow nikar, not just black and white rocks. So it says, well, fine. V'yichta b'aleim. Okay, we got it. So write on the rocks. Write on this one LaHashem. Write on this one LaZazel. Right. So Yichta b'aleim. You should write on it. V'yomar Zel Hashem, Zel Azazel. Right. So you should write. It should be enough. Take a piece of paper. Write on it. So even why does that the fashion of wood, which the Gemara understands, means that they have to be engraved on the wood. It's like shaped in the form that it says La Hashem, and shaped in the form that it says La Zazel. Why is writing not enough? Again, the Gorol should be a Gorol La Hashem. It shouldn't be generic and you just write on it, but the Gorol should be La Hashem. Shem Mochiach al Atzmo Shul Hashem. Should indicate unto itself that's La Hashem, evidently by having the engraving it. And the and that's tells us that it was engraved. Okay, so it was engraved in order that it was in the cheft itself, not on top of it written, but engraved into it. Perhaps we can add to this. I will try and make more a little bit of a deeper understanding, which is just like, and it's the Gorol Chad LaHashem is like the tzitz, where it says Kodesh LaHashem, and that's engraved. So it could be that there's linkage there, LaHashem, right? LaHashem, it's like it's just like the tzitz, it's engraved on tzitz, Kodesh LaHashem. It's engraved into the Gorol LaHashem, and of course, therefore, it has to be engraved in the other one, LaZazel, in order that they should be equal. But Tani came, but this Tani came is not going on the engraved. As Moshe says, "Klomar v'chemetzim b'chalukas erso shu b'kalpios garolos shekasav aleim hashemos." They find lottery boxes and lots, but those were not engraved. B'shtei kalpios nischalk Eretz Yisrael. There were two kalpios, two lottery boxes, which divided Eretz Yisrael. Echad shel garolos v'nosunim b'sochan, one in which the garolos of the different allocated lands were put in. And there was one which the two names of Shvatim were inside it. And two Pirchei Kuna, two of the young Kohanim would stand there, and with the which this one brings up and that one brings up, and Zacha, they would correspond and get that portion. It says here Pirchei Kuna, but that's Lav Dafka, because Yehoshua was involved and the Kohen Gadol was involved. It seems that we have Midrashim like that. We're going to reference it now also, something along those lines. So I guess it could have theoretically used Pirchei Kuna. The unfortunate say that also you should have just said, well, I'm now just need one girl. Say now we'll do Reuven and pick up a girl which land he's getting. Shimon, what land he's getting. But now there's also part of the pumbi. Everything should be done in a way which clearly this indicates that there is siyata dishmaya and significance to it. Okay, yes, it may says the Gemara. The shtei perikuna umdizah mashazem maleh bezem maleh zocha. B'shlosh dvarim yitzchak eretz Yisrael. Where it says really in three things: goros, urim, betumim, ksafim. Goros, they used lots, and urim, betumim confirmed the lots. Ksafim, and they made equivalencies as to the value of the land. Obviously, taking into account its natural resources and so on and so forth. So everybody should get appropriate portion. Hador says, Yoshua Goro, Yoshua cast the lots. Maybe he took two perikuna, but in any event, it was Yoshua was involved. Goro lifnei Hashem b'mitzvah. The Goro was before Kodesh Baruch Hu in mitzvah. Goro elu goros, right? Those are the goros themselves. Lifnei Hashem elu b'mitumim. The b'mitumim would confirm that this was the Ratzon Hashem, what came up with each one. And how do we know that it was Pik Sofim? Because Ben Rav Lamat, it's a Pasuk by Midbar, it says, Pi Agor Techolek Nachlaso Ben Rav Lamat. Elok Sofim, this teaches us that they have to reckon what's Rav and what's Mat. In other words, what's valuable, that should be equal value, even though one would be large, one would be smaller, but obviously it all has to do with location, and other stuff. Okay. I haven't said in Molish does Kodesh Baruch Hu Cheichom Makom B'Yeshvav Lo Yisrael Eretz Yisrael Mitzchaykas B'Olam. If Kodesh Baruch Hu had not put the chain of each place on the people who were supposed to get it, then Eretz Yisrael never divided. There was a special siyata d'shmaya, the people, the Sheva which got its portion, got the portion that they had. With which they had an affinity, siyata d'shmaya. Okay, the Karma Eda says that Shas Kodesh Baruch Hu. No, not that one. Shekoyecha Boro. That's what Chayk Yov. Lo Misratzim B'Tolas Agoro. And after this chain, they would not have been satisfied with the Goro. And now we bring out also a very famous Gemara. It's also probably Soita V'Tani Kain Shlosha Chinim Hain. It's turned three types of chain. A chain is an affinity, a grace, which is beyond any logical or necessarily rational understanding. In English, we call it chemistry. It's a special chemistry which exists, right? A woman's not necessarily a pretty, beautiful, gifted woman, but there's a grace between husband and wife, which is the love between the husband and wife. And play the grace of a place in the eyes of the person who lives there, even though it could be a rotten place. I think the Medrash brings down that there was a place where they had to smear the kids, the Givat Shammai, I think it was called. They had to smear the kids with mud when they were born so that the mosquitoes wouldn't bite them to death. And there was a Talmud, and somebody's one of the Tanoim's yeshivas who had tremendous homesickness for this place, and this Rebbe said, "Oh, Chei Mokom B'Nei Yoshvav," and Chei Mokom B'Nei Locha, the same thing. If somebody buys something, built-in obsolescence, right? It could be that it's already something which he should not be happy about, right? After he gets it, but no, there's a special siyata d'shmaya that people are zufrieden with what they get. Korban says, first of all, we like the place even though it was not a good place. I don't think it was a place for the mud. It's a different story. I don't think bring it down here. No, I don't see it offhand. And Lokov says, everybody want their money back. So Kim Olam is necessary in order to sustain the world. Rabbi Abba, Brady, Rabbi Papa, Rabbi Shua, Suklim, Shem, Levi said, Aflo Si Lobo Kosh Baruch Hu Osakain. So to eventually Kosh Baruch Hu does this in the eventual future. And he brings out fascinating drasha. Hadar Siv says, "Saitachem leiv chadash v'gomer, saitachem leiv basar." the Gomer. This pasuk says, "Satachem leiv chadash v'ruach chadasha atem b'kirchem masilos yisa even mibsarchem satachem leiv basar." Pasuk Yechezkel Lamed Vav. And what does it mean? He says, "Shu boser b'chelko shel chavero." Says the Kormeida, boser b'samech. Perish kol echad chelko shel chavero mevuzeh beinav. He repudiates his friend's portion. Beinav chavetz ba. Uvazah the targaminon uvasar. So uvasar here is the language of repudiate. Every person repudiates his friend's portion because he wants his portion, and this is a special siyata d'shmaya, special quality which HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives which will help people obviously agree to whatever they eventually get when Eretz Yisrael is redistributed. The Kohen Gadol sticks his hands into the kalfi, and there's room in the kalfi for two hands, and he knows which one he touched, which one was touched. He could feel because they were engraved, which is Hashem, which one's La'azazel. Another Shemati Sarbu, and then the goats got mixed up. And he doesn't know which one was literally standing where. So now you knew which girl you touched, but you know which goat is the right goat for what you touched. The mitzvah of the serum were not done properly, and you could do it again because it wasn't definitive. So that's why you can do it again. Mishalahson, but if you already, that's because you didn't take him out and mach the goyro yet, right? But once you pick them out, Naga behan v'nisarvu, and you touch them and knew which is which, and they are mixed up. Hasinika mitzvasa, and the serum are done properly, and therefore you can't fix it anymore. You have to start from scratch. You can't fix these. You have to start from scratch. The other interpretation of the Gemara, I'm going with the Mashbiach's pshat over here. It's his interpretation of how these procedure works. Now, based on this, Mashbiach goes on to explain the next Gemara. Now, let's give a preface to the next Gemara. He says that the Goyen Mashbiach, on the bottom, right, when you didn't just touch them inside, it wasn't kober. You can keep, you can do it. But start from square. Just pick them up, and it doesn't matter what you touched in the bottom. Irrelevant. If it's right out of the kalfi, so then that already is, the goal was made. You can't change anything. And if they got mixed up, you got a problem. You start from scratch. You get a new pair. And I guess these go out to Riyah, to Yistavu, whatever the case may be. But if it's on the way up, they get mixed. You touch them. And while you're touching them on the way out, the goats get mixed up. So then, says Mashbiach, you can, Amira works. You can verbally designate. Because the girl only designates when it's taken out. And when it's in the Kli, it doesn't designate anything. But Amira only works before the girl is actually designated by having taken out of the kalfi. So if on the way up, while you're taking them out of the kalfi, the goats get mixed up, then you can specify. And you can specify what the Gemara is about to say. So, Ubaliyasu Nagavim, why is you're taking them out, you touch them, and these arvu, and the goats get mixed up. Amar says, so it's a similar process. You can say, you can verbalize. Im shel shem yalebi, meaning, if the shel shem comes up my right hand, he kaddish zeshem mini kodesh, and the one on my right should be kodesh. Im shel shem yalebi smali, but shel shem comes out of my left hand, kaddish zeshem smali kodesh, and what the one which is on my left should be kodesh. Va'afilu im amar, since this point he can still use amira. If he says im shel shem yalebi mani kaddish zeshem smali, since Amira kicks in, you can say, if the shen goes up my right, I want the one on my left to be Kodesh. Since Amira is a factor here, so it works, Kodesh. Im Shoshem Yaleb Smali, and so therefore he says, Im Shoshem Yaleb Smali, Kadosh Zeshem Mini, Kodesh. It works. You can say, you can make a statute stipulation. Let it be the exact opposite of whatever hand I pick it up with. Imamar. But if he said, Bein shel shem yalebi, meaning Bein shel shem yalebi smali, whether the shem Hashem comes up my right, the shem comes on my left, lo yikadesh elazeh shalai, meaning lo yikadesh. I'm sorry. Imar Bein shel shem yalebi, meaning Bein shel shem yalebi smali, lo yikadesh elazeh shalai, meaning lo yikadesh elazeh shalai smali, then lo kiddush. That doesn't work. You can't say it's regardless of whatever the girl comes in. You have to link it to the girl, right? But you have to. So therefore, you can link it in whatever way you want. But it's got to be linked. You can't say the girl is meaningless. Why can you do this procedure? Nema, right? As long as it's linked to the girl, kavan bepeh. Because at this point, again, according to Mashbiach, when it's in the middle of the process, you can go bepeh. Before it's on the bottom, it's too early. You can't do anything. When it's already out of the kalpi, it's too late, right? It's already the girl's already determined. When it's in the middle, then you be go bepeh. So the Gemara says, Amar ter goros. The Torah says goros. Goros should call them. It could be goros of anything. Fine. But you put two. Can you put two goros on each one? Now I'm going to go to the Mashbiach. Mashbiach say two goros Lashem on the Lashem and two goros Lazozo on the Lazozo. Tamul goros echad Lashem. No, goros is on two goros. Yes, Lashem Lazozo, but only one gorol Lashem. Gorol echad Lazozo. So Yochi Ten Shal Shem Shal Zazel Zeh Shal Shem Zazel Zeh. And I guess because maybe somehow the pet would come here as well somewhere. No, that doesn't work either. Tamulomer Goro, only one Goro per animal. So the Mashbiach has his own shot in the next part. I'm going to go with the Korban Eda. V'lo do kad ma'isa. So Korban says Korban v'lav imitha. Then we already know only one Goro animal. Midichsiv Goro. The Mashbiach says Goro Chad Shal Shem Chad Shal Azazel. Right? You can't you can't put two Goros on each and two Goros on the other one Goro per. So Kini. So this no, you're right. This is the way we should learn. Yacham Mishun Nice Shal Shem Al Shal Shem Shal Azazel. Maybe you'll make a new ritual somehow, and I get to put after you put one on the Shem, one on the Azazel, and it's going to be. So then, in order to make it more ceremonial, whatever you want to do, so the you can put the additional one on it as well. Tamalomar Goro Echol Lashem. No, one Goro Lashem, and nothing after it. Enkan Lashem Ela Elchon. Echol Enkan Azazel Ela Elchon. That's it. One Goro per animal, and no adding ceremonies. Okay. Now we're going to switch gears to talk about the tzitz. Tzitz is also similar. It says Kodesh Hashem. Tzitz are, well, actually, and the Kodesh Hashem, it just says La Hashem. The tzitz are because of Kodesh Hashem. The Kodesh Hashem, which brings its own set of problems, right? Because how can you put the word Kodesh and the word La Hashem on the same line? So that's why we have this Gemara, which says tzitz are because of Kodesh Hashem. Kodesh milamatan. Kodesh was below, and you have probably a picture in your Gemara. And the Korban Eda, the Kodesh Hashem on the bottom, and the Kodesh and the Kodesh Laman on the bottom, and Hashem higher up, right? Kodesh milamata, Hashem milamalon. Kamel shu sheva katadron shalo, like a king who's sitting on his throne. Katadron, katedra is a throne. Kavasa, by us, by the Goros, it said, it didn't say Hashem, it said La Hashem. So also here we divide the word. It says over here also the Kavasa Echad Milamaton, one letter below the Lamed, the Shem Milamal and the Shem on top. Reb Chaim points out that the Shita of the Rambam was that by the tzitz said Kodesh on the bottom and La Hashem on the top. Not like the picture we have in the Korban Eda here, and that doesn't work out so well with the Yerushalmi, because here it says by the Goro, that's what it sits, right? And by Goro would be, it sounds like you have to differentiate the Lamed from the Shem. It works out much better with the way the Korban Eda has it here, which is the Shitas of Taisus. And Kodesh Lam is on the bottom and the Shem was on top, and here also the Lam was on the bottom and the Shem was on top. I'm not sure the Rambam was Gemara. So my cousin, the Yofer Yerushalayim, wants to say that according to the Rambam, it actually said the word echad here means it was said echad on the Goro. So it was not just one letter below. It said echad below and La Hashem on top. Amar B'Lezer, B'Lezer said, Ani Risi B'Rome, I saw it in Rome, B'Lezer El Shita Achas Kodesh La Hashem. And Rambam tracking down things. Rambam that some days make it some way and sometimes the other way. Okay. Minas Aaron. So Aaron is supposed to put the grolos. Even though it's zor kosher. But if a zor did it, it's still kosher. More infers the Kabbalah saw, on the other hand, similarly, well, not similarly, but if you say Nosan is kosher, im hela zor puzzle. The influence is that if a zor actually takes the girls out of the girl, the kalpi, not just puts them down, it's puzzle. Should be a kavachomer. Mine is sinish custom me'aron. If by putting it on the girls, where it says me'aron, nothing zor kosher. If a zor put it down, it's kosher. Ha'aliyah she'ain kosher but me'aron. It doesn't say me'aron lo koshkin. It's going to be kosher, right? It says well, no, lo tzurcha, but you can't say that. But rather in the sina, in the korban both changes to not from she makevis to she'ain makevis. It's not makev. Nothing zor kosher. The Haliyah, which she, not she'ena, but she makevis, im hela zor puzzle. So no, the contrary. There has to be that the Aliyah is what's the impediment. The Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Chakula b'Shem B'Yana, he said this Aliyah until kilpim makevis ain't the sin makevis. That's why, even though it says in the Sam Nero, when you say it's lavdaka, it's not makev. The Allah, which is the actual goro, that is makev. Okay. We'll stop here for today because we're already on the next Amud. And we'll see what goes on. But we'll stop.